shutdown. The battle over the border wall shoves 800,000 federal workers to the sideline. As much of America's government grinds to a halt, will Democrats and the president ever find common ground? On the front line of the immigration fight, another innocent casualty. Who, if anyone, bears blame for an 8-year-old's heartbreaking death? Here at home, a new progressive regime poised to assume control of Harris County. Can the Democratic leadership they bring deliver a better life for average Houstonians?
Go away, DEA! Go away!
And yet another raucous chapter in the troubled tale of Houston ISD. Will the state answer the latest call for a takeover, or will the passionate protest of activist parents prevail? I'm Greg Grugan, and welcome to What's Your Point, where our panelists call it like they see it. Let's greet them. Starting us off, Republican strategist Jessica Colon. Next up, Democratic commentator and attorney Nyanza Moore. In the 3 spot, Bob Price, associate editor of Breitbart, Texas. Batting cleanup, longtime super neighborhood leader Tomaro Bell. Next up, healthcare executive and former Republican congressional candidate David Balat. And closing us out on the hot corner, writer, educator, and KPFT radio host Tony Diaz. Let's do this. Impasse over funding for the border wall has forced America's government into a partial shutdown. While workers deemed essential remain on the job, more than 800,000 federal employees have been involuntarily furloughed, their livelihoods put on hold. We all understand the wedge issue. President Trump has demanded $5 billion for construction of a barrier between the U.S. and Mexico. Now, while Democrats have flatly rejected the request, some, at least, are still asking relevant questions.
Where do you want to put it? What is it going to, what purpose will it serve? How will it interdict illegal crossings on the border? What it would contain? Is it a spike fence? Is it a cyclone fence? We want the money to be spent wisely in the most effective way possible.
Neither side has accepted proposals of compromise, leaving the nation once again stuck at dysfunction junction. Okay, Bob Price, thank goodness we got you all out of the lake house. Hey, what's your read on this?
Well, first off, I think we need to take a look at all those people who are on the non-essential government employees list. Maybe we don't need some of those people after all. But the government shutdown is a political stunt being carried out by the left. They have many times offered way more money than what they're refusing to offer now. There's no sense of compromise whatsoever. But this is a failure of Congress, a Republican-led House of Representatives, a Republican-led Senate that should have gotten this issue taken care of many months ago, and even last year when they had the opportunity to do so. So there's plenty of blame to go around all over this, but we do know that Nancy Pelosi is struggling to make sure she can keep her position as the next Speaker of the House, and that's why she is refusing to move forward on this issue.
Let's be clear, this is 0.005% of the federal budget. This $5 billion, not inconsiderable, but still just a small fraction. Nyanza, I assume you see things differently than Bob.
Well, I see them just a little bit the same as Bob and different on certain points, but he was right. This has been a Republican-controlled House of Representatives and a Republican-controlled Senate, as well as the presidency. So when you think about it, it's not about Nancy Pelosi, who's in power right now, the Republicans. It's not about the Democrats to make the border wall. And also, you really can't expect for the new 116th Congress to take office next week and then put forward a Republican agenda as their first action item. There are so many other things that are much more important. They can fund the wall if they wanted to, but the wall is a promise that was made during a campaign. It was also promised that Mexico would pay for it. The issue becomes the $1.5 billion that was offered by the Democrats to go ahead and do something to go ahead and effectuate a more secure border is something that that was rejected. So if you don't want $5 billion from our side, you don't want $1.5 billion, that's an offer of compromise. We need to know, is this wall something that is actually going to stop illegal immigration, or is it something that's more about posturing? We need to do something that's common sense, just like gun reform, but make it somewhere that is secure for all of us at our borders and not just our southern borders.
Jess, pick it up there.
Well, yes, this is something that will absolutely secure the border and has proven to do so. And here's the deal. If the Democrats were serious about wanting to compromise, the $1.6 billion, they would have accepted the president's compromise to include DACA in the border security plan, and they refused to do that. And that's really playing politics with people's lives at the border, the DACA kids, and the dream that they have and that the Democrats claim is so dear to them. Second, you know, you saw the clip of the Democrat congressman asking about specifics. There are tons of specifics in this package. There is down to the mile about what kind of fence was going to go. We talk a lot about wanting to use technology and electronics at the border. We're doing that in the national forests that are along the border through drones and other electronic fences and things. So it's a blend of all types of equipment that are being used along this border. The Democrats aren't serious about this. Nyanza's right. This is total politics. They don't want to come out and have a victory for the American people. Border security is an incredibly popular issue with Americans, and they want this, and the Democrats need to get it done.
Okay, we're going to talk more about this, but want to bring up this issue. Some would forcefully argue that a painful and very personal consequence of our political dysfunction unfolded on the southern border this week with the death of a second Guatemalan child in federal custody. The hard questions. Did authorities do everything they possibly could to save 8-year-old Felipe Gomez Alonso? Does his father bear some responsibility for risking his son's life by embarking on a grueling journey wrought with hardship and peril? Tony, I got to come to you on this.
This is very heartbreaking, and of course, this is tragic that children are dying in the course of families pursuing a new life. And I would also add, there's plenty of blame to go around. Bob Moore, who covers the border for the Washington Post and Texas Monthly, he pointed out that influenza B, which was what Felipe died from, that takes about 1 to 4 days to kick in. And he was in custody for 6 days. The investigation's ongoing. I don't want to throw more gasoline onto the fire, but we are, of course, in this odd situation where you've got children dying under our watch. There's several bureaucratic layers that are at fault. I mean, Border Patrol is trained to apprehend folks. They're not triage. Then you've got other levels of government that get involved as well. I would say this. There's so many different reactions from both sides. We're not separated by our border wall. We're separated by Trump Tower, where you've got middle-class, poor Americans that need help taking care of their elderly, and they will settle for undocumented folks. I'm not judging them on that. But then we have a president who also plays us against each other because we have valid concerns about safety. So we're separated by a Trump Tower while the president sits up at the penthouse and looks down at us, arguing about each other and not getting things done. I hope the new Congress comes in. I hope Democrats have their priorities straight, and I hope we come up with some smart legislation for immigration.
Really interested in David Balat's take on this, given your healthcare background and watching these two tragic deaths unfold. Could anything have been done?
You know, Tony said it right. We're not equipped to triage. This is law enforcement. You know, one of the worst places you can go if you're sick is the emergency room, because there's a lot of disease and there are a lot of people that are there with contagious issues. It's there for life and limb. But when you've got that many people coming through and you've got a caravan of thousands of people coming across our border, not having a separation, not having a wall is encouraging them to do so. We've got to prevent that motivation and that migration into the United States. And having some kind of deterrent is the only thing that's going to do it. This isn't a Republican issue. It's not a Trump issue. This is an American issue. The Democrats allocated $43 billion in 2013 for border security. $8 billion of that was for a wall. We're asking for $5 billion.
Tomorrow, you know, I know number one job is a mother, and as you watch these two deaths reported, what was going through your heart and mind? And as a policy expert, in my mind, you know, what should we be doing?
First off, to the family, my deepest sympathy. That father never left his house thinking he was going to lose his child on his journey. When prisoners are arrested and put in jail, they're given water. They should have a method. When they take them into custody, they become your responsibility. You take over custodianship. That's what custody means of them. There is no way that you should have somebody dehydrated and die, or that you should have someone and not have them looked at. The problem about this process, and the thing that concerns me, is it has become for profit. These nonprofits who are holding these children for each day that they each hour, each minute, each second, they're paid. to have them in their custody. No one has looked at, and I've brought up this before, the children that have died in those facilities, because when that happens, nobody's ever lost their license or lost a contract about it. The callous indifference for these children is something that deeply concerns me. Will the wall make a difference and save lives? I cannot say that it will or won't, because one thing I do know, a drone in the air versus boots on the ground, they can see a whole lot more than men, okay? And I know that technology is a safer way and an easier way and a less costly way to look at doing border security.
Bob Price has reported extensively on the border and the immigration issues. You've been in those counties where they've uncovered bodies of immigrants who just flat didn't make it. What's your read on this?
I've been out in the field recovering these bodies, and I can tell you that the Border Patrol agents have a horrific task in dealing with that, as the sheriff deputies do as well. 376 at least have died either while crossing or after crossing the border, not in custody, just through the process. So that the idea that it's not a foreseeable consequence that you would die making this trip is not true. It's very foreseeable. The problem is these coyotes down in these countries are lying to these people. They're telling them that they'll get them safely to the border, that they'll get them across, and that it's a free ticket into the United States. This is because the Democrats passed a law in the last weeks of the Bush administration changing for a good cause. It was to try to prevent human trafficking of little children. But the unintended consequence of that law has been this giant magnet that is forcing thousands and thousands of people. The El Paso sector has a 1,800% increase in the number of family units coming across that border in the last year.
We got to leave it there. Sounds like a consensus for immigration reform, perhaps of some form. Anyway, when we come back, a new day in Harris County with capital D. The ramifications of the impending Democratic takeover of the nation's third most populous county. Stay with us.